Welcome back, everybody. Have you signed up yet for the free Rod Squad newsletter? You can at rodpeterson.com right now. It's brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Okay, Coach DuBuc is here, the fast-paced world of football coach. Here we are. Mike McDaniel fired this morning. Let's start with that. What are your thoughts?
Probably has something to do with Harbaugh getting let go, and then him popping in there. And I know there's a good relationship between our owner and the Harbaugh family, so I would assume that has something to do with it.
So, I don't know if you're a betting
I'm
man or
betting
not,
on
Matt. Are you
Harbaugh.
putting? Oh, you knew what
I'm
I was
betting
going
on
to
Harbaugh.
ask. And how do you think that would go over here in South Florida?
Awesome. I mean, God, the guy's a winner. He's got a great product. He's done great. He was one kick away from being in the playoffs this year. So, hey, football in the world we all live in today is just so tight, and these it's so contractual that if one guy, two guys, three guys, they don't get it done, and you're out. But I think they would give Harbaugh 5 years to get this thing going, and I think he would. I think he's a builder.
Okay, well, listen, we got 20 minutes for this chat. We have a lot of things to cover. But do you not think it's a little odd that they don't have a general manager yet? I mean, and they may not even get Harbaugh, but I mean, what's going on there? Am I out of line in
I
asking
think,
that?
yeah, I think what they probably have is a group of guys that they trust. Like Dan Marino's still in the building, and they got Troy Aikman around. So I think ultimately, I think there's people that are giving him advice, but Harbaugh could be the GM too. I mean, he's got plenty of experience, so I really believe it's going to be Harbaugh. They wouldn't have made that move on McDaniel unless it was going to be Harbaugh, and I think Harbaugh will get a lot of leeway on who he brings in.
Doesn't really matter now, but do you think McDaniel keeps his job if not for Harbaugh becoming available Tuesday night?
Yeah, I kind of feel that way. I really do. So yeah, I think he does. But it was the fan base, as you know, down here is very fickle anyhow. Um, but there's still, the long-lived Dolphin fans are dying off, and the new generation hasn't experienced any wins. You can talk about Don Shula all you want, but they don't they don't know who they don't know who Zach Thomas is. Our guys don't know who Zach Thomas is, and he's one of the best players in history. So I would tell you, I think they had to do something to get re-energize the fan base.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes and he says, "Can Harbaugh turn the Dolphins around?" It seems to be a foregone conclusion that Tua's gone, so you don't have a quarterback coming. Like, where would you start if you were John Harbaugh?
I think I think you gotta tear this thing down from to the metal and just rebuild it and give him 5 years to get it done. And
Oof.
but I think the fan base is going to acknowledge that it's broken, and I think he can fix it because yeah, the whole thing with Tua getting him for that long-term deal is going to just absolutely destroy them when it comes to a quarterback. But the Ewers kid didn't play bad. I don't know if he's a franchise guy, but I was happy when they drafted him. So I don't know. I mean, I just think they have to start this whole thing over, and it couldn't be with Mike McDaniel.
Well, it's a nice segue. Quinn Ewers played at Texas. Hook 'em. I happen to see the new hat you're wearing, Coach. Big day for your family. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we weren't expecting this. He really enjoyed New Mexico and played in that bowl game and really did well. But in the world of college football today, you're getting evaluated every week if you're playing well, and you know to to get the type of responses he got off of Trey's play this year. It was all SEC schools and ACC schools, and now there's NIL, there's revenue share, and it's a great opportunity, to go to a place that place in Austin. I'm a Red Raider, but that place in Austin is different. The town, everything, the facilities, the people. Sark and I were talking the other night about his days in the Canadian League. with Jo and just we went there and how do you tell them no? I tell people it's like you're a gladiator fighting in the amphitheaters, in the old Roman times, and then the next thing you know, you win enough to go fight in the Coliseum, and that's kind of what Trey did. He scrapped around and stuck through it, some good times and bad, and now he's being rewarded for it.
Darrell K. Royce Stadium in Austin, Texas, is what we're talking about. And Matt DuBuc's oldest son, Troy, is committed with the Longhorns as their long snapper. Here's what I don't really like the conjecture and the rumors. I don't, but I know everybody else does. And the reason I bring this up is Brent from Wellington, Florida. You know Brent. You met him at a Panthers game. He says, as a Dolphins fan, so you take Harbaugh or Lamar. Well, number one, Harbaugh is available. Lamar isn't. But I heard this one this morning that the Las Vegas Raiders might trade the number one overall pick to Baltimore for Lamar Jackson. Is that a trade you would do on either side?
You know what you're getting with Lamar. You don't know what you're getting with a drafted guy. I mean, you can think but you never really know until they actually do it. And that's why, like, the transfer portal in college football is so important now, because for Trey, they saw him play in 12 games and played at a high level. There's no fear there. But you bring in a guy that you don't know that you think is going to get the job done, and then you mortgage your whole deal on that. There is no sure thing when it comes to the draft. And I think that's what college football has become. At Texas, they took a portal kicker, portal punter, and a portal snapper all with 1 year to go. Trey's got two. But so it's so transactional, and these guys are trying to win the national championship, the SEC. You're trying to win the AFC. You just have to really, really, really get lucky. And, everybody was tanking for Tua, and Tua tanked for the Dolphins. So, that's part of the deal.
So if you were Las Vegas, you would make that trade because you know what you got in Lamar. But if you were Baltimore, you would not. Is that what I get out of that?
Not. I would not get rid of Lamar Jackson. No way.
Okay. By the way, you said you talked to Steve Sarkisian about his CFL days. Did he speak fondly of Saskatchewan or not? Because it kind of depends on the day with Sark, how he feels.
That's the first time I ever met Sark. I was in his office for probably 20 minutes, and we had dinner Friday night. I was really impressed. I think he's got a really good demeanor. Obviously, he's a very smart offensive mind. He was very complimentary of the CFL and enjoyed it. And he had nothing but good things to say. And we knew a lot of the same people, but it was fun. And he's like I said, he's seems to be a really great guy.
No, he's all that. It just things weren't real great in Saskatchewan when he was there. That's all. You and I'll go over that when we're together next. Oh, by the way, Vancouver Eric writes in. He says Fernando Mendoza gives me Sam Darnold vibes. Well, I'm guessing that's a good thing. We're going to see him tomorrow night in the Peach Bowl. But tonight it's the Miami versus Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl. I assume you're going to be watching. What do you expect?
I'll give you a quick Sam Darnold story. Adam Gase coached him, and he didn't do very good for Adam Gase, and Adam Gase was pretty frustrated with him. And then Sam Darnold went out and did good the last few years. So sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes a few different coaches. Sometimes.
Oh, and we lost Matt DuBuc. Oh, there we go. We got you back. What happened?
I don't know. Sometimes failure is good. You got to learn and I'll go back to my own son. His first 2 years in South Florida, he was very frustrated, and he learned a lot from those 2 years. And now, he's considered one of the best in the country. So I think whether it's quarterback or whatever it is, it's not always going to be peachy, as they say.
No. Well, and before I let you go, we got to end on some CFL things. We have lots of time before we do that. I'll talk about the interview with Cody Fajardo yesterday, which I know that you watched. But anyways, Miami heavily favored tonight, the Hurricanes, to beat Ole Miss. They're favored by 10, and if they do, they will appear in their own stadium in the national championship. The odds are astronomical that they would even do that. What do you think they're thinking going into the game tonight? What do you expect?
I just think Kiffin has left. It's such a poor deal for those guys at Ole Miss and their organization. Um, everywhere he leaves, it's like a dumpster fire. And again, this is going to probably end up the same way. Um, I just think Miami's too good up front, and if the quarterback takes care of the ball, I don't think Ole Miss is going to be in there just because of the coaching staff and just all of the distractions that they have. The interim coach that became the head coach is doing a hell of a job keeping it together. But I wouldn't bet against Miami at this point. Now, if Kiffin was still
Uh,
there calling it, maybe, but we're not right now.
well, Miami's averaging 9 points a game on defense allowed. So the defense wins, as you know. But I mean, have you had time to watch any ESPN? One of the questions I saw on the scroll this morning was on the ticker, how does this make Lane Kiffin look that Ole Miss has gotten this far? They've won 2 playoff games without him. Does it make him look good or bad? I think it makes him look good. He built that team. How do you think it makes him look that they're in the Final Four, Ole Miss?
Uh, it's a double-edged question. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks good that he picked good players, and I think there's a lot of character, but I think he probably did a good job with his staff. Now there's nobody left from the staff going to the games. I guess the receiver coach and the tight end coach opted out of the game now, so I just don't see how they're going to be able to beat Miami. That's running on full petrol. Um, But does it? I don't know. I watched the Kiffin story last week, and you know he was a hard living dude. Now he's a not a hard living dude. He's a Pilates guy, and Bible verse guy, and he's an extremist from one to the other, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not.
You got to show me that show. I got to see that. We told the viewers you and I would talk about Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss. Whether they win or not tonight, he's going to be something to watch.
He might get another year, bargaining for another year when he was at a JUCO. I read that yesterday. It's not guaranteed that he's going to get another year, but he's going to play football somewhere next year, whether it's in college or pro football. Phenomenal player. Seems like a great kid, great leader. He's an X factor for tonight. But there's just so many excuses for Ole Miss not to win. There's just so many excuses built in for them not to win. So I think once the going gets tough, you'll see guys saying, "Hey, where's my next place? Where am I headed to next? Or what am I going to do now?" And I think that creeps in, and that's the ugly part of the game now. It's unfortunate.
Well, our bread and butter is our Canadian viewers, and we're airing on Game Plus TV, not just across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. So let's talk about the Fajardo interview yesterday. Big name in Nevada sports, a star with the Wolfpack, and one of the CFL's great quarterbacks. You seemed impressed with that interview yesterday with Cody.
Oh boy, I would love to coach Cody or coach with Cody or be around that guy. That guy just exudes energy and positiveness. And Ben Vick, he says nothing but great things about Cody. So yeah, whatever Cody decides to do, play 2 more years, 3 more years, or go coach or whatever, or sell cars. I think Cody's going to be successful, whatever he decides to do. He just exudes positive, and he plays so hard too. That's the one thing about Cody is like he leaves it out on the field every single game, and I enjoy watching him. So, and I've been watching him for probably 4 or 5 years now. So it's to watch him and hear him. Sometimes you put 2 and 2 together, and he's definitely a very, very impressive guy. And it was great
Well, I
questions by
guess.
you and the fans.
Well, I don't know. Well, thank you for that, but I don't know that. I guess you weren't privy to the conversation that I had with Benjamin Victor at your game on the field,
I
and
was
I
coaching.
said, Benjamin, yeah, well, it was warm-ups. Yeah, you were coaching. But I guess you were coaching warm-up. But I said to Benjamin, I said, you could have a big year this year. And he goes, I need Cody throwing me the ball. Does it make that big of a difference, Matt?
Yeah, it does. I mean, especially in that league with the wider field, the longer field, absolutely. And Cody's a veteran, and he knows how to call the protections. He knows how to distribute the ball. That's why you want a veteran guy. I'm sure he wasn't as good 5 years ago as he is 6 or 7 years. It's like baking a cake. Just it takes a little bit more time at that position. And a guy like, if you want to compare him to Tua comes in and did decently to okay, and then I think all the hits that he took and the concussions, it just kind of slowed his development down to be a franchise quarterback, and I don't think he is anymore. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, okay. So rapid fire. Again, this is ending fast here, our chat. BW in Edmonton says Henry Burris is available. He's not returning to Florida A&M. James writes in. He says Harbaugh to Miami does not bode well for my Jets. The reason I bring this up is if you were Harbaugh and you have a choice, which it sounds like he's going to have a choice of all these openings, where would you go if you were Jim Harbaugh?
Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, you live in the best. It's the best place to live in the world, climate wise. I mean, the only thing I think McDaniel where he went wrong is, you got to play in Buffalo and you got to play in New York. You got to somewhat build that team for the cold playoffs. I mean, unless you're going to host all the way through, and you're not. And that was their demise. They weren't a very tough football team. They were flashy, but not very tough. And if you talk to any salty old coach, toughness is what football's all about. It's about blood, sweat, tears, snot, blood coming down your face. The individual battle. Your fight every play, your individual fight. So I don't think the Dolphins have had a whole lot of that under Mike McDaniel.
So that hasn't changed, eh? Football still comes down to that?
Yeah, I think it does. And that's what I'm trying to do with my team. And the tough survive in football, and the weak guys, they fade. And it takes time to find out who the tough guys are, and that's what we all do as coaches, try to figure that out. So, yeah, I think it comes down to those individual battles, the snot, the blood and the scraping and scratching, and who's willing to fight to the end.
Well, you did have a hell of a year, for sure. Final four in the state, right?
Yep.
All right.
It was good. I mean,
all right,
all right. Well, appreciate you, Rod.
Yeah. We got about 30 seconds left. I don't know
Okay.
what your plans are tonight, but we'll be at the Yard House in Meisner if you care to join me and Fish. We're going to be watching this Fiesta Bowl tonight, so I don't know. I'm just putting it out there, Coach. I know you're a busy guy. Maybe you need to just rest.
Matt DuBuc is getting to the airport at 4:45 tomorrow morning to go to New Mexico to move his son across 10 hours to Austin, Texas. So I will be on the couch with the dog tonight, going to bed early.
Okay. Well, safe travels. Hi to Tyson and all your lovely family. Thanks for the time, Coach. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you.
Coach Matt DuBuc from the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs, 3-time state champion, Grey Cup champion, bowl champion, champion of everything, champion in life, Matt DuBuc joining us. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way here on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.